International football is back, and in this video we discuss England's Nations League fixtures over the next week. We take a look at the big omissions from the squad, including the controversial decision from Mary Earps to retire from England duty. And we look at what England need to do to progress in the competition. This is our England Nations League preview. Alright, international football is back and England are in action tonight with England playing Portugal at home, and then on Tuesday they'll face Spain away. It's quite a crucial international break, Harry. Obviously, results in the Nations League put us 3 points behind Spain. How do you view the chances now for England of qualifying for those crucial Nations League semi-finals?
I think England's chances are very, very difficult. Trailing Spain by 3 points is not a great place to be in. I think that it's a frustrating place to be in from England because they did the hard bit. They beat Spain. They've beaten Belgium once, but dropping points away in Portugal and losing to Belgium away has put England in a really difficult position. And I think it'll be frustrating. It's disappointing as well because after the Spain victory, England put themselves in a good position, went and beat Belgium 5-0, and then threw that all away by losing 3-2 away in Brussels. So I think that it's frustrating for England, but 2 games here. If England win them both, they've got every chance of still topping the division and looking to build some momentum going on into the Euros. But on the Nations League, I think it's been a really mixed last couple of international breaks. England need a solid 2 games here just to steady ourselves and get us prepared for the major tournament coming up in a few weeks. England just need 2, even if they don't win the games, 2 solid performances.
We're in a position now where we could do the double over Spain and still be behind them in the table. That's really poor. I mean, we beat the world champions, but we struggled against Portugal and we struggled against Belgium. I just don't think it wasn't good enough earlier in the tournament. It's still technically in our hands. I mean, to a certain extent, we do need to rely on Belgium not getting absolutely pasted by Spain. But if we can get a few against Portugal and even out the goal difference, then it will come down to that game on Tuesday night. If England can win and overturn the goal difference, then suddenly they're in a position where they could qualify. The problem is, if Spain win 4-0, even if England then win 3-0, they've then got to beat Spain 4-0. So it's a tough situation. We need to hope that England can overturn some of the goal difference against Portugal. Hope that Belgium could... I mean, if Belgium get a result, that's a dream, isn't it? But then England just need to beat Spain. It doesn't even come down to the goal difference. But we don't have to rely on other teams getting results, especially when they only get results against England. Every other team just rolls over for Spain, as we saw with Portugal. I mean, the only reason Spain are in such a strong goal difference position is because they put 7 past Portugal in the second game. They scored 11 goals in 2 games against Portugal.
It's just ridiculous. It's, and when you consider that England went away and only found 1 and then ended up conceding and drawing the game, it's not good. I think Portugal would have been frustrated to concede 7 to Spain, but from an England point of view, it's not good enough. England needs to be on that same level. I'm not saying they need to be putting 7 goals past teams because that is a little bit absurd, especially when Portugal are a respectable nation and they are a decent side with some decent players. But England should go out there tonight and look to go and win this game pretty comfortably. Shouldn't be conceding. Shouldn't be a tight game. Shouldn't be dropping points. Needs to be 3 points. And it needs to be a good win by a decent margin.
Yeah, hopefully Wembley can make the difference. It looks like it's going to be a strong turnout. I do think England play better at the home of football than they do away or at a place like Bramall Lane. Hopefully we see that then in this game. But it needs to be a big performance. There needs to be a few goals. Hopefully England can do that for the sake of progression. Obviously crucial then across these matches for the Nations League, but also in the build-up to the Euros, because while this is the stupidest place to put an international break possible, it is here, and England have to adapt to that situation, as every other team does. How many teams do you think will be treating these as more pre-tournament friendlies? How do you think this is going to go?
I think that kind of atmosphere will be around it. The longer picture for these fixtures is you're playing against sides that you could end up facing in the tournament. So it's about preparing
for
that.
This whole group has been that because, and this is the problem with having the Nations League so close to the Euros, and because obviously there aren't many strong European nations. So when you've got the Nations League, which puts all the top nations against each other, so close to the Euros, which puts all of the top nations against each other, you've ended up now with a situation where Spain are in a Nations League group with Portugal and Belgium, and they're also in a Euros group with Portugal and Belgium. I can't understand why that was ever a decision that was taken. But what we have seen is that Spain are probably going to win their group by a decent margin. But But yeah, I think it will be interesting to see how teams handle these games, because on one hand, you want to give opportunities to the best players because you want to progress in the Nations League and obviously then put your team together for the Euros. But
Yeah.
then you also want to give opportunities to players who either haven't had loads of minutes or who you will want to use in the tournament. Usually pre-tournament friendlies are for those two things. The
Yeah.
problem with it being the Nations League is that you now have to win. I think if it's a situation where England can't catch Spain on Tuesday night, then we will see a rotated side and we will see players get opportunities. But we hope that's not the case, and that's the problem with the placing of these games. England obviously do have another pre-tournament friendly, Jamaica on the eve of the tournament, so maybe that'll be used for those purposes, but I think overall it's really poor planning from UEFA.
Yeah, we've said it before. It's a crazy time to put an international break at the end of the season directly before a major international tournament, because it is their last chance to impress Sarina Weigman. It's their last opportunity to cement their place into this England squad for the Euros, and I like that part in a sense, in terms of that it does give those squad players that direct opportunity to go and make a difference and to go and prove they deserve to be in this squad. And I think that they will use it very importantly. I think then the games like Jamaica will be when we see the full strength 11 getting used to playing each other and getting into a rhythm. But these two games, I think the Portugal one especially, because I think we're more likely to see a rotated side against Portugal, or not rotated, but slightly not the strongest 11. So there's certain players that need to impress and need to use these two games to really try and fire themselves ahead of other players in the pecking order, because there are a few positions where I still think it's up for debate in the Euros. We will have to cut 3 from the squad, so it's going to be a tough decision. It's one of those where whoever gets cut, it's going to feel a little bit harsh, but this is why we have these games, so those players can go out and show why they deserve to be in the squad.
Yeah, exactly, and I think this is it's weird how we do it, how we name a bigger squad for the games before the tournament, like it's judges' houses or something, and then eliminate players. Really don't understand that, but yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see that. I think with the number of injuries, though, it's almost de facto done for the manager, in the sense that Aguimang's been called up because of injuries. Realistically, I don't think she's going to go to the tournament. I think Beaver Jones will be preferred through the middle, or even Nikita Paris. So I don't think Aguimang's going to go. I don't think that Blinkilda Brown's going to go, because she was only called up due to the ACL injury for Morris, who probably wasn't going to go, but obviously horrible situation for her. And then it will probably be Missy Bokearns, who's only just been called up for a return to the England squad. And that's the 3, and obviously Mary Earps. Let's talk about Earps. I want to talk about what's missing from the squad, and we've not spoken at all about the Mary Earps situation. I feel like everyone has fallen on either side of the fence here.
Yes.
Where it's either Mary Earps is an awful traitor who's betrayed the king, who is a terrible person and committed arson against the UK, or she's a hero and an idol and she can't possibly do any wrong. And I think the truth probably sits somewhere in the middle, in that she shouldn't have pulled out as late as 5 weeks before the start of the Euros, and that will have a damaging impact on England. And to not now have a backup goalkeeper who we would trust in that role isn't a great situation, but she is still an England hero and a legend of the sport. So I think it's somewhere in between. What are your thoughts? Are you going to boot her out of the UK for her crimes against the Queen?
Yeah, I think I agree. I think that what happened is there was that massive side that overreacted and thought that she should lose all her England caps and should have her Euros winner medal stripped away from her. And then in order to respond to that, people then jumped on, I think, and went too positive and kind of threw their bodies on the line to defend Mary Earps. And I think that, as you say, there just needs to be a little bit of balance between those opinions, because I think everyone's just got a bit too far with everything. As you say, I think it's disappointing from Earps, because she's a leader in that dressing room, and to lose her right before the international tournament, I think it isn't a great move from Earps. But that's not why. Right? I understand if she wants to retire because she doesn't want to play backup, fair enough. But for me,
I don't think that is fair enough, though. I think the way that she's gone about it, it reeks of entitlement, and that doesn't take away from what she's done before. But to say I'm not going to come because I'm not the first choice goalkeeper, it's so petulant, so selfish. I can't understand that.
I think if it would be very different if she'd done this a year ago, done it last summer.
100%. If after the October International she'd gone, you know what, I'm gonna retire from international duty now. I don't feel like I want to play England. That's fine. I just think on the eve of the tournament to do it, it's really poor. And from someone whose character has always come across as someone who cares, as someone who is really humble, I think it was a really poor mark on her. And I think especially the way it's come out and the way they've gone about it, in the sense that, well, I mean, we've seen reports that obviously she didn't thank Sarina Weigman in her message. I thought that was really poor. She didn't get a first team opportunity really with England until Weigman came in, and maybe she wouldn't have at all if Weigman hadn't come in. So I think to not thank her for that was really poor. I think Weigman's reaction in the other way was also quite poor,
Yeah.
but it's a very emotional situation. So I think it's something that it's a really stupid situation to have on the eve of the tournament, and that's been manufactured through Earps and Weigman not communicating effectively, evidently. I mean, we've seen reports from Earps's camp that she's been considering this for 12 to 18 months. I just don't believe that, but if that is the case, then that is something that should have been planned for. But yeah, I think that, again, there's been a bit of mass hysteria about it, and the journalists have fueled that with very opposing articles.
Exactly.
You've got, Telegraph writers. I thought the headline from the Telegraph, it was designed to create anger. I mean, putting Mary Earps' ego is out of control or something like that. I don't think it's that far, but I do think that what she did was wrong, and I do think it reeks of entitlement.
Yeah, I think that, as you say, it's a very different one to grasp, because there's two very different narratives being driven by different people, and the problem is one of those sides has to be wrong. They can't both be right, because they're both described completely different
They're
scenarios.
both wrong.
They might, they probably are both wrong, to be fair.
That's the situation. I think there's elements of truth from both sides, and again, the truth lies somewhere in the middle.
But no one's handled it well, and when you're going into an international tournament, you've now divided a fan base. You've now as you say, I don't think Weigman or Earps dealt with it very well. It's hardly what you want. And while Spain are going out and smashing teams left, right, and centre, England are dealing with dressing room affairs, and your goalkeeper who started for the last couple of years retiring a month away from a Euros, and people are all up in arms about it. But yeah, I think that a lot of people went way too far with it and just completely lost their heads about it coming out. And then
I think everyone's gone too far with it.
yeah, I think everyone needs to calm down a little bit. She's retired, fair enough. It's not like England have no other goalkeepers, and we've now put in a coaching goal or something. We do have goalkeepers, and we have people that can sit on the bench. So it's not like it's going to impact the performances, but I think off the pitch it would have been nice to have her there.
I just think it's incredibly disappointing to see someone of that esteem and of that quality quit over the fact she's not going to start. I thought that was really poor from her.
Yeah.
And people say, she doesn't want to warm the bench all summer. Why not? What better are you going to do? It's like, if England win the Euros this summer, you're just denying yourself a medal because of your pride. You're too proud to be a rotation player. I don't understand that. Imagine other players had been that way in this squad. You wouldn't have a team.
Yeah, imagine if every player did that. You've got 11 players.
I'm not starting because I'm not going to come then. I just can't understand that mentality personally. So she's within her right to quit the England national team, of course, but I don't think it damages. I think it tarnishes her legacy to an extent. I don't think it ruins what she's done for England in the past. But I definitely think it puts a dampener on things.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where the smarter thing to do, if she really wasn't happy about being a backup, the smarter thing to do would have been to say you're going to retire after the Euros, and then just be that bench, because from Earps, that's what confuses me. Is for Earps, she is more than just warming the bench. She's plays an important role in this England side, whether she's on the pitch or whether she's off it. And I think that it'd have been much smarter for her to stick with the squad for the Euros, potentially go and get a medal, as you say, enjoy the celebrations, enjoy being part of the squad, still be a leader in that dressing room, and then if she doesn't want to be that backup anymore, then just call it quits after the Euros. And no one would have any shame for her if she did that, because it'd be like,
if we went out on a Euros win and she announces her retirement, she grabs a microphone and goes, I'm retiring. She gets an applause rather than this media reaction that's been fueled with vitriol from both sides. And it's become a much bigger problem than it should have been if it was handled in a much better way. If she'd retired 6 months ago or 6 months later, it's not a story. But to do it now on the eve of an international tournament, it's really poor from all involved. And it's miscommunication. It's a bit of selfishness. I don't think anyone's come out of this in a particularly good light, and it puts England at a disadvantage heading towards the tournament.
And the fans should never be in a position where they're picking sides. I mean,
Between the manager and the
Yeah.
goalkeeper that won the Euros 3 years ago.
ridiculous. But I think, but also on the fans as well, is that they don't. I don't know why people are picking sides. I haven't picked a side. I'm not sat here defending Mary Earps. I'm not going to sit here and defend Sarina Weigman. But
I think it's natural to especially if you're on the side of defending Weigman, if we're going into a tournament and our manager's just lost their backup goalkeeper because she doesn't want to sit on the bench.
Yeah, I just think no one has dealt with the situation at all, and because of because these role models, these important figures, have not dealt with this situation very well. The people who then look up to them, i.e. the fans, haven't really dealt with the news well either, and it's just created a really weird scenario that England. That is another reason why I think these results are important. Get 2 wins under your belt, get the fans back on, get everyone together again, and use that momentum to push into the Euros.
Well, that's one player who's missing. Let's talk the others and see if we can stretch them to 10 minutes. Bright obviously saw that she's not going to play in these Nations League. I thought that was really smart what she did. I think the way she announced it as well was really smart, just going on a podcast talking about it in a very open and honest way. I think it makes sense. She has played an awful lot of football this season. That is going to have an impact on both her mental and physical health. These games, though they are important for any huge lovers of the Nations League, they're ultimately not going to make a difference. No. Realistically, we're talking about 2 games that would get us to another 2 games in October. No one's that asked about it. We'd rather go in the Euros. So I think it's really smart from Bright to do that. And I don't really have an issue with that. We've got enough centre-backs that can cover that position. That's fine. Lauren James, the other big miss then, she's expected to be out for the whole tournament. So
that's a huge miss. That is a huge miss. When you're talking about game changers, when you're talking about players who can single-handedly win you a knockout fixture and potentially win you a trophy, Lauren James is one of them, and to not have her for the tournament, I think England, that is a huge blow for
England. Have no one but themselves to blame. She shouldn't have played against Belgium.
Yeah.
She came back from injury, and it feels like we need to have the same discussion we have with Reece James in the men's game.
Yeah.
Clearly, there is an injury proneness there that, maybe genetics or hereditary, something like that, but clearly there is an injury proneness there. And the way that Maresca with the men's team has gone about it is handing him smaller minutes, even if that means one of our best players isn't playing. It would be that giving Lauren James that chance to recover from injuries. And obviously she came back and she wanted to go and play those Champions League games against Manchester City, and then she shouldn't have gone to the international break for that.
No.
She should never have gone to the international break because she'd just come back from injury. Give her those 2 weeks off. Instead, she goes and plays 45 minutes against Belgium, gets injured, puts up a hamstring injury. She's not going to make any of the Euros, and she'd be lucky to make the start of next season, it looks like.
Yeah, it's a problem with a player when even when you only give them a half, they still end up injured. Like that, people consider giving a player a half as giving them a rest or bringing them in lightly. But when a player only plays 45 minutes and still picks up an injury, it shows that she shouldn't be playing. But England, as you say, it's their own fault. They're going to have to deal with it, and someone else is going to have to step up. And there are players that can step up.
And then obviously Ella Morris as well, horrible situation, a second ACL injury. It tends to be the problem with these injuries. Once you injure your ACL once, you come back to play and it tends to go again. It's horrible to see. Hopefully she can make a good recovery from that. But a huge loss for Tottenham especially, but also for England. It leaves us very short at right back now, which is a concern, again, going into a major tournament. And it feels like there's more questions than answers at the moment. Let's look at who is actually there, though. We've covered everyone who isn't at the tournament. Who's going to play for England? Well, goalkeepers of Hampton, Keating and Morehouse. Obviously no Earps, is there a situation where you bring back Ellie Roebuck over Keating or Morehouse because Roebuck's played in bigger games before? She's not played this season, but do you bring her back for that experience without Earps there?
I don't think so. I think that, again, we've seen Sarina bring in these 4 goalkeepers, which I think showed that clearly they already knew about Earps somewhat. So I think it will be Keating and Morehouse. I think the problem with Roebuck is she hasn't played. When was the last time she played again football? Or at least played consistent football. Yeah. I just think Keating, again, hasn't been great for Man City, but I think she's on her day is still a very, very good goalkeeper.
She's been better recently.
She has, and I think that her shot-stopping ability, if she was needed in the tournament, it is very, very good. It's the type of thing where yes, she might struggle to move the ball or play the ball out, but I think her shot stopping can keep you in games at times. And then with Morehouse, last thing I'm intrigued to see whether Keating or Morehouse we preferred. Now, see Morehouse.
I'm not. I'm not intrigued to say. I hope that we don't have to find that
Yeah,
out.
that is also true. But yeah, a good point. But I think obviously you'd think Morehouse because she's been called up, the only one called up to the squad. But the reason Keating hasn't been called up is because it makes more sense for her to play with the under 23s than come and sit on the bench for be third choice keeper. So
Well, there was a period as well where she was rotation for City
There
rather
was,
than
yeah.
starting, so things like that played into it. But I also think people are overplaying how important it is that these players have played senior England football before. I think it does make a difference. I'd rather have a goalkeeper who's played for the team before than not. But it's not a tactical thing. It's not. I get that the goalkeeper can be huge in commanding that back line, but you've got Brighton Williamson, so it's not like it's going to be disorganised without a good communicator behind them. So I do think it's being overplayed slightly. I also, we just rely on the fact Hannah Hampton isn't going to get injured.
would you play one of Keating and Morehouse tonight against
No.
Portugal?
I'd play one of them potentially against Jamaica, or if Spain isn't.
Okay, yeah.
If there's nothing on the line at Spain, I'd play them then. But I wouldn't play them against Portugal. No, that's I don't know. It feels like a must-win, even though the Nations League isn't that important for me.
Yeah, I think England need to win. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's a pride thing as well.
Yeah.
After drawing to them earlier, I think it's important to get one over them. And actually, as much as we don't care about the Nations League, we'd rather win it than not win it. So might as well go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Defenders then, no Bright, but she was replaced in the squad by Lotte Wubben-Moy. I imagine Wubben-Moy will drop back out for Bright.
Yeah.
Can't see her staying around, but she may be involved in these games. Bronze, Carter, Charles Greenwood, Letitia Morgan. Obviously, Ella Morris dropping out. Blinkilda Brown coming in. Not sure if she's going to play right back or if that is just the next best English player we could find.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Leah Williamson. I feel like, obviously, no, Bright not being there, Williamson will likely play both of these games. Who do you think will partner her?
Well, it's a big question because obviously, I think Bright leaving works with the reintroduction of Malik Greenwood to the England squads, but I think that it would be really harsh on Maya Letitia if Greenwood just to come back in and start both games straight away. I think this Bright dropping out presents a perfect opportunity for Weigman to give Letitia a chance to start.
Oh, if Letitia doesn't start against Portugal and run on the pitch,
Yeah,
cause a riot.
especially Williamson's just come back from playing a Champions League final, and Greenwood's just come back from injury. If Letitia doesn't start over one of them, I feel so bad for Letitia because what more can she do?
Williamson came back late from the camp. I don't know if she'll start. I'll take back what I said earlier. I think she'll start Spain game. I don't know if she'll play Portugal. So it really should be a Letitia Greenwood back too.
And if Greenwood's not ready to start, then I don't know who you play because Moyes also just come back from.
Pray. Just stand there. Probably be Carter.
Yeah. Do you think it'll be back 2 or 3? If it's back 3, then what?
No, I reckon go fullback.
Yeah.
Personally,
Especially with the lack of centre halves that are probably available to start.
Yeah, that is also true. I mean, we could put someone like Carter or Morgan into a back 3, and you'd feel more comfortable with that than them playing in a back 2. But in terms of fullbacks, it'll be Bronze and Charles most likely. They've both had 2 weeks off with Chelsea, so they'll be fresh, and I think that'll be the fullback combination that goes into the Euros. We actually just don't have any other fullbacks.
Yeah.
So wrap them in bubble wrap between the games because if not, we're screwed. But they are really good players, so it should be all right if they stay fit. Midfielders then: Clinton, Missy Kearns, Kirby, Park, Stanway, Toon, and Walsh. It's a really nice set of midfielders.
It is. Stanway's back. That's brilliant. That's really assuring. Miss Kearns, another call up for her, which is nice to see because I think that is rewarding good form. Don't think she'll be at the Euros, but this is their opportunity. If she impresses, could she get in over someone? I don't really know. She's getting over
Possibly over Kirby, but then it's that
brilliant.
Well, that's true, and also they play different roles. If you've got Stanway and Walsh, I mean, there isn't another defence midfielder there, so is there an opportunity there for Missy Kearns? But then equally, she is more of an attack midfielder. She's only played that deeper role for Villa this season. We don't have another defensive midfielder. I imagine Clinton would play in that pivot as we've seen her do before. But yeah, it's again a situation where England going into the Euros, no Ruby May. She's picked up an ACL injury with short options. Toon, in terms of who plays that type of midfield role, Toon, Park, Kirby, Kearns, Clinton will all fight over that position.
Yeah.
as to who starts. Portugal, I imagine it'll be a midfield three of Walsh, Stanway, and then I feel like Park might get it. I
Potentially.
feel like Park might get a go in this game.
I think she's one that I don't think she needs to prove that she deserves to be in the squad, but I think she'd like to get a good performance under her belt in an England shirt.
She's always done well at Wembley, and I also think that it feels very Weigman to save Toon for Spain or Clinton for Spain, because both of them are your top players, I think, in terms of how she ranks them in hierarchy. And then front three, Russo's got does Russo start just fresh off the Champions League final, came to the England squad late? Is there an opportunity here for someone like Beaver Jones?
I think there's a great opportunity when you've got Beaver Jones, Aguimang, and Nikita Paris, all who can lead the line.
So it doesn't help all the England's attackers are Arsenal players with Russo, Mead, and Kelly. You'd imagine then it'll be either Lauren Hemp, who's only just come back from injury, and then on the left, or Beaver Jones on the left. Aguimang could be an option. Paris could be an option. Depends how fit these players are coming back from Champions League duty. Coming late to international duty from Champions League. So, it'll be interesting to see what this England squad looks like. Yeah,
it's one of those where I think that the game on Tuesday is a little bit more nailed on as to who you think could start, but tonight against Portugal, I think it's going to be a really interesting lineup. I think I'm intrigued to see what Sarina's going to do. Whether she
take all the non-Arsenal players, get like a bottle in the middle and spin it, and then everyone that gets picked out that way.
Yeah, maybe just randomise it.
Yeah,
put the numbers.
We've got 4 goalkeepers on the pitch.
Or they draw positions. Yeah, Lucy runs that front now.
And Blinker de Brown as well. Obviously, got to consider that she may be involved. Tonight, but
England don't have any natural backups in the fullback area. No natural backups in the defensive midfield area. But we have 6 attacking midfielders.
It's always good,
6 for one position, and they've all been called up. It's just crazy. I don't get how I feel for Weigman, because I don't get how you're meant to deal with that.
No, but that's the situation we're in, isn't it? It's not ideal when Ruben Mace gets injured just before the tournament.
Yeah.
And that is sort of it for English defensive midfielders at the moment, isn't it? So hopefully we'll see a few come through. I feel like it may be an opportunity where players like Lexi Potter might get, if she can get starting minutes next season, she may get pushed to senior duty earlier than perhaps others, because there is just such a lack of defensive midfielders, and Walsh isn't getting any younger. England have to have the future in mind with that. So, it will be interesting. I think the other option would be pushing Williamson higher, considering the fact that there's about 8 centre-backs in this squad.
Yes.
So, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But overall, this international break, we'll be about getting some results, building that form, building up belief amongst England fans before Euro 2025.
100%.
Starting on the 1st of July, or 2nd of July, I think it is. Very exciting.
That's close. That's really close.
Way too close.
Yeah,
only 5 weeks now.
Wow.
Till the tournament gets underway. I'm very excited, though, and hopefully you'll be able to join us for all of it. This Friday, tonight, we were planning on streaming the game, but we have now been given tickets. So if you are going to Wembley and you spot us, feel free to come over and say hi. And then we will be back for Spain versus England on Tuesday. So if you looking forward to our stream, apologies, there's nothing tonight. We will be back for Spain, England, and then obviously that'll be it until Jamaica and then the Euros.
Yes, I think I'm looking forward to Jamaica more than the Euros. Yeah, I can't wait.
I'm not even interested in the Euros. I'm just going to watch the Jamaica one and then leave. So that'll be good. But that is everything from us today. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.